All right, so today we're going to be talking about the importance of documenting your journey. And in essence, when I say that, I mean like publicly documenting your successes and your failures in a particular area of your life. So I'm sure when you hear this, you might be thinking, I don't want to put my business out there. I don't want to record my failures publicly. I don't want to record my successes publicly. But I promise you, if you have been struggling to get into content creation and you've been wondering how to begin, what kind of content to make, the reason why you are struggling so much is because you've probably not explored this style of content, which is the documentation style of content creation. So there are many different content formats, but I personally believe that this is the best. If you're just getting into content creation or you want to get into content creation and God has been calling you into this space, but you don't know where to begin, the process of documenting your journey or documentation as a style of content basically means that you're just talking about an area of your life as you make progress in it. So basically, let's say you are in school and you're just documenting your journey of going through school. Or let's say you work as an accountant and you're just documenting your journey of living life as an accountant. Or let's say you're a chef, you're a business owner, and you're just documenting your journey as a business owner. When people hear this style of content documentation, they think, oh, I have to show behind the scenes, I have to do like vlogs. And even though that is amazing and super helpful in so many ways, and even though that is a cute style of content, vlogging and showing behind the scenes and so on and so forth, if you're one of those people that there isn't a lot of behind the scenes to show, like in my case, I mostly I educate people. There isn't a lot of behind the scenes, to be honest, other than me shooting these videos, putting them out and getting on calls to talk to my clients. Really, that's really everything I do behind the scenes. So because there isn't a lot to show in terms of vlogs and so on and so forth, there might be that hesitation like, hey, because I don't have a lot to show, then I can't benefit from this style of content. But that is a lie. You can, because you can actually come on here and talk about the journey, your experiences, your highs, your lows, and so on and so forth. You don't have to show it in the sense of like behind the scenes and vlogs. You can show it by talking about the experiences, your journey, your highs, your lows, the failures, the positives, and so on and so forth. And to be honest with you, this is the style of content that I find myself wanting to lean more towards. And there are so many reasons why I feel like this style of content is the best style of content if you are thinking of getting into content creation, or if you have gotten into content creation but you've been struggling. I'll give you a personal example. I personally have been struggling with content creation these days, and that struggle has stemmed from mostly like where I'm at in my business. I'm experiencing some great highs in my business, but I'm also experiencing some low lows, and those low lows are then affecting my confidence. And if not for this style of content, there would be that fear of wanting to show up and appear as an expert when you're having those confidence issues. However, if you're taking advantage of this documentation style of content, even though you're experiencing those lows that then affect your confidence, you will just find yourself saying, do you know what? I am just documenting it. So there isn't any pressure to come here and say, oh, this is the best season of my business and so on and so forth. I can literally just come on here and say, hey, this is the struggle I'm facing. These are the wins. These are the challenges and so on and so forth. And it doesn't come off inauthentic. A lot of times we come off inauthentic because we want to be perfect. We want to show up like the best of the best. And to be honest, I found that especially as a result of artificial intelligence, authenticity is like the biggest thing people are on about these days, because people just want that connection. They don't want you to come and pretend that you are perfect, that everything is going on perfectly. They want you to come and say, hey, I'm actually struggling in this area, and it's glorified and very important because it's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to just come and drop your guards on camera in public, like just to tell people I'm struggling. Like, it's so hard because no one wants to show their low points. No one wants their low points to be seen by people. People want to be celebrated, to be seen as the best of the best, to have their high points all over the place and to do their low seasons in private. That's what we want. However, it's not authentic, it's not real, and there is no difference between you and a robot when you approach your content that way, which is why I personally have made up my mind that I am going to start approaching content creation this way. Hello guys, and welcome to the Gracework podcast, the podcast where purpose meets profit. I'm your host Benny, and I show ambitious Christians how to build a purposeful and a profitable personal brand business. So if you're ready to grow your impact and your income, then let's jump right into this episode. So I'm going to give you guys 5 reasons why I feel like this is the best style of content if you are in the beginning stages of content creation, or if you've already started but you are struggling, you're just in a very difficult season where you're struggling to show up consistently. I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should explore this style of content. The very first reason is accountability. When you're documenting your journey, you're documenting your highs, you're documenting your lows, you're documenting, every part of your journey. The most beautiful part of that is that people latch on to that journey. Some people just come on and they want to follow you through that journey, maybe because they are thinking of going on that journey too, or they are on that journey and they need that constant boost of inspiration and encouragement. So because you know that there are people that are following you on this journey, there's going to be that desire to want to show up consistently. A good example of this is when I started consistently creating content was in 2020, and that was for my ministry's channel, Say TV. At the time, it was called Say a Prayer Ministry. And basically, I was recording or putting out YouTube videos every single week of myself summarizing a book of the Bible. I did that because, number one, God instructed me to do it. But most importantly, that was keeping me accountable when it came to being consistent with studying my Bible. Because I knew that people were watching to see the next week when I had to show up and put out a new book of the Bible. I knew that there are some people that they were literally reading their Bibles or understanding their Bible because of the content I was putting out. And before that series that I did, I had never consistently read the Bible. I had never finished the Bible beginning to end. So that was the first time I was able to do it. And I believe that the reason I was able to successfully do it was because I was documenting my journey of reading the Bible. So it was easy for me to show up because there was that accountability that, I know people are going on this journey with me. So I have to show up and summarize this book of the Bible. And of course, because I have to show up and summarize this book of the Bible, I also have to read the Bible. And that was the very first time I read my Bible cover to cover. So documentation as a style of content, or the documentation style or content format, is so amazing when it comes to accountability. So if there's an area of your life where you want to do better in, for example, in my case, it was Bible study. I wanted to finish the Bible. Then creating content and documenting yourself, reading it, and what you're learning from it is going to help you. Whatever area you're trying to improve on or do better at, just start this documentation style of content for that area. And you would find that as you're documenting the journey, you're going to be able to show up more consistently and actually hit your goals in that area. So that's one major reason why this is a style of content that I'm going to start implementing a lot more moving forward, because I know that it's going to keep me accountable in terms of showing up for my business. The second reason why this style of content is so amazing is for progress tracking. Guys, this is a big one. Tracking your progress is one of the most important benefits of the documentation style or format of content creation, because ordinarily as human beings we tend to focus on the negatives. But if you're documenting your journey, the progress you're making is caught in 4K. You're literally seeing where you were 2 months ago and where you are now. It's such a huge part of building your confidence and showing you how far you've come. When you're struggling to show up consistently with content, you would find that one of the reasons that you're struggling is because you're thinking you've not made any progress. You're thinking that you've not moved forward. You're thinking that you're stagnant. However, if you have been following this documentation style of content, you can just watch 2 videos back when you spoke about a struggle you were experiencing and how you overcame it. And you can watch your current video and see, oh my gosh, the difference is astronomical. And because there is that like factual documentation, it encourages you. I'm going to go back to that example I gave with like finishing the Bible in 1 year. And the fact that I could see, oh, I've come this far, I've finished studying the entire Old Testament, it motivated me to want to go through the New Testament because it was visibly documented how far I have already come. So if the devil was trying to lie to me and tell me you're not making any progress, you're not, moving forward, I would be able to look through my past videos and say, you can't tell me I'm not moving forward. For the first time in my life, I finished reading the Old Testament. Like the evidence was there. And that was one of the biggest reasons why, even when it got really tough, I kept on going during that season. That's one of the reasons why in this season, I find myself wanting to lean more towards the documentation style of content creation, because I find myself wanting to see my progress visibly, more than the numbers, more than anything else. I want to look back at the videos that I'm going to be making moving forward and say, oh my God, this was where I was 10 years ago and this is where I am right now. I want my children to be able to look at these videos and be encouraged, like, oh my God, see when she was struggling with this, now look at her now. Like, it's so encouraging to be able to see someone's progress. People can even write a book about you through your documentation. Like, when you want to write your autobiography, someone can literally watch your content and see you document your highs and your lows and be able to write that book for you. Like, there's so many benefits in terms of tracking your progress. You'll be able to see the mistakes that you said you made, and you'll be able to point it out like, oh, in this video, this was the mistake that I pointed out that I made. So I should most definitely try and avoid making this kind of mistake again, because the documentation is there. One of the people that really succeeded with this style of content is Ali Abdaal. He was documenting himself through med school, and that was literally how he succeeded, because people were seeing how he was navigating medical school and they were encouraged and inspired, and that was one of the things that brought him into limelight. So that's why it's so important to take advantage of this style of content, because you're able to track your progress, see your wins and your losses in real time, and documented in 4K, and be able to see how far you've come, and that would encourage you and give you the confidence to keep going even when times are difficult. The third reason why you should probably explore using this kind of content is no pressure. Specifically, what I mean by that is there is no pressure for you to be an expert. When you're showing up as an expert with content creation, during seasons where you're struggling in that area, you may not want to show up because you would feel imposter syndrome. And so because you're feeling imposter syndrome, you'll be like, do you know what? I don't feel like an expert now, so there's no point in showing up. But if you're approaching content creation through this documentation style or through this documentation format, guess what? You're not showing up as a guru. You're not showing up as an expert. You're showing up authentically as yourself, but also as a guide. Like, hey, see what I did? It did not work. See what I did? It worked, and so on and so forth. So because you're not showing up as an expert, there isn't that pressure to always show up 100% in every piece of content you create. That pressure is basically lifted off your shoulders, that, hey, I've never told anybody that I'm an expert, so I'm literally just creating this content. And if this period in my life I'm struggling, I'm creating this content to tell people, hey, I'm struggling. Period. There is so much power in that level of vulnerability. You're taking back control over your narrative. Like, these low seasons doesn't define me, and I don't have to show up perfectly during these low seasons. I can just come and tell people honestly and authentically that, hey, this season is challenging, and for that reason, this is what I'm learning in this season, how to navigate it. Period. For some time now, I had been struggling in my business, but God came through for me, sent help. However, one of the reasons why that struggle season affected my content was because I was showing up as an expert instead of as a guide, instead of as someone who is just simply documenting her journey. Because if I was just documenting my journey during the seasons that I was struggling, I would have just turned on my camera and say, hey guys, I'm struggling. This is what I'm struggling with, and this is how I'm trying to navigate it. I should have just done that. I honestly should have just done that, but I struggled to do that because that wasn't how I was showing up in my content. I wasn't showing up as someone documenting her journey. I was showing up as an expert. And I might not have been doing this intentionally, but the most telling sign that that was what I was doing was when I had this low season, and because of that, I couldn't create content at all, because creating content would have felt very inauthentic to my reality at the time. So that is why I genuinely feel like if you want to create content without pressure, if you want to create content without feeling like you need to show up perfectly or like an expert every single time, then this documentation style of content is the very best possible style of content that you can adopt. In fact, if you're struggling with content creation, just switch to this style of content and it will flow seamlessly. If you're wanting to get into content creation and you don't know where to begin, just go into this style of content creation. You don't need to be an expert. All the pressure is gone. Just document your journey and you would notice that you wouldn't feel icky or inauthentic. The fourth reason why you should consider this style of content is it is an easy format. When you're creating content as a one-man team, as a one-person team, guys, you do not want anything difficult. And if you know me, then you know that I'm big on ease. You want to reduce the barrier to creation as much as possible. When you do not have a big team, you don't have people editing your videos, you don't have all these, all this help. Like, the most important thing for you to do is to simplify the process for yourself. Like, you need ease. Like, ease is the most important thing that you need to adopt in your process. Ease of process. And the easiest format I can think of for a beginner or for someone struggling with consistency is documentation. Because if you're vlogging, fine, but if you're also not vlogging, you're just talking about your experiences. So it's not a difficult content to create because everything is in your memory. You're just talking about your experiences. It's empowering because you don't feel like you need to put in the effort to do this high retention editing and give all these excellent points that people can, frankly speaking, get from ChatGPT these days. Like, you honestly can just show up and turn on your camera and say, hey guys, this is what's happening right now, period. And you can just leave, and that's about it. Who will like it will like it. Who will not like it will not like it. And that's fine. You can refer to that video 10 years later and say, oh my God, this was where I was in 2025. Look at my life now. Look at how far I have come. And I did not have to struggle to capture these moments. I literally just turned on the camera and spoke about what was happening in that season. It is such an easy format. Literally turn on your camera and say what is happening, say what you're learning, and share your wins and your challenges, and turn off that camera. If you do not have the time or the energy to edit, don't edit the video. If you can't edit the video and put it out. Period. It's simple. It's not difficult. So if you're looking for an easy format when it comes to creating content consistently or getting into content creation, you really want to consider this documentation style of creating content. And finally, and most importantly, the fifth reason why documentation is one of the best styles of content creation is because it is an inspirational style of creating content. Guys, this is the biggest and most important reason, because every other reason benefits you, but this reason benefits other people. Guys, whenever I want to do something, or I'm struggling to do something, or I'm procrastinating to do something, if I watch a video of someone doing it or someone that has done it, it inspires me to take action and do it. That is one of the biggest reasons why this style of content is, in my opinion, the best style of content to ensure consistency or when you are a beginner. Because even though there are all these personal benefits to show up with a documentation style of content creation, guess what? You are also inspiring people in the process. People that watch your videos, like if I showed up when I was struggling in my business and said, hey guys, I'm struggling, someone that is struggling would watch that video and be inspired, like, hey, I'm not the only one, and be encouraged, like, oh, okay, if she's still going regardless of what she's going through, I can keep going as well. It is such an empowering and inspirational style of content. It benefits so many people. It helps people to see themselves in you and to genuinely like understand that they are not alone. It is so special that you can give that to other people. And the reason why I want to start adopting this style of content is because other people give that to me. When I'm struggling in my spiritual life, I'm struggling to pray, I'm struggling to read the Bible, and so on and so forth. And then I watch this content creator. There's this specific lady, her name is Deborah B. And I watch her talking about God, and I watch her talking about her relationship with God, her struggles, her challenges, and the things she's learning. It inspires me. I'm like, hey, like, she's still showing up in her relationship with God. I can do that too. So if people are doing that for me, why can't I be that for other people? And that was why I was like, do you know what? When I'm low in my spiritual life, I know who I watch for encouragement and for inspiration. I want to be that for other people. Right? I want to inspire other people so that they don't give up in their business when things are hard. Oh my God, I'm getting emotional. I'm getting emotional. So that they don't give up in their business when things are hard, because they're seeing me like power through and push. Oh my God, it's crazy. Because they're seeing me power through and push through, and I just feel like that's being that beacon of hope and light for people is so important, because when I need it, there are people that are providing that for me on YouTube, online, and I want to be that for other people. So yeah, moving forward, this is the style of content that I'm going to be adopting more often, especially in my podcast episodes. My podcast is now called Grace Walk with Benny. And it's basically me documenting my journey through purpose and profits. So basically doing business God's way. And every time I drop a podcast episode, it's just going to be me documenting my journey and just telling you what I'm learning in that season, my highs, my lows, and so on and so forth. And for whomever it's going to benefit, it's going to benefit. For people that it's not going to be for, it's not going to be for them. So that's really about it. That was why I came here today to talk about this style of content. And yeah, I look forward to future episodes. And if you're someone that wants to, that inspiration, that encouragement, and you're looking for someone to do this journey with, then this is the place to be. I've created so many pieces of content in the past, and these pieces of content have just been like in a cupboard somewhere. So I don't want to waste those pieces of content. I don't want to, discard them completely. So there are times when, if I don't necessarily have an update for you in my business, I would just put out these older pieces of content as my filler content. And then when they all run out, moving forward, it will just all be fully podcast episodes of Grace Work with Benny, fully documentation style videos, and so on and so forth. So yeah, please, as I put out content like this, that is going to be vulnerable, please be understanding. Please show some grace, because it's such a scary thing to do. I'm very, very scared of this style of content, and I know it's something that God has been calling me to do, but I have been so scared to do it because of, judgments from people online, or fears that, people might judge you. and I don't want that. So I'm one to protect myself, but I'm doing this because people people have served as inspiration for me, and I feel like if I can be that for someone else in the way that they have been that for me, then it's a privilege, it's an honor. And then I get to also see my progress in real time to encourage me when I'm having difficult seasons in the future. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. Do not forget to subscribe if you want to go on this journey with me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.